Hi guys, today I'm coming back to continue with my crazy life story, and today I'm coming through the early adulthood phase, 16 to 25, and I became a mum. The biggest, most important thing of my life, but it was also the biggest, most important thing that happened in this period of time. At 16 I left home and lived with my boyfriend Luke, and I had our first baby not long after I turned 17. I loved every minute of it, and it put a stop to my ongoing struggles with anorexia. I hadn't, every desire to eat while I was pregnant with my eldest son. I wanted to look after and nurture the baby growing inside me, and so it didn't matter to me what I looked like anymore at that point. I loved becoming a mum, and I had a good pregnancy even though I was young. My back stood me in good stead to prepare for labour, and my son was born on winter solstice, just before Christmas. I was in labour for 4 hours and had no pain relief. Aside from the cord wrapping around his throat, there were no other complications, and it was a good pregnancy, a good labour, and a wonderful child. He was an absolutely fabulous baby, especially as I was a 17-year-old girl. As much as I planned it and I was all ready to be a mum in my book, I couldn't have hoped or wished for a better experience and a better baby. He was great. Absolutely fabulous and so easy to look after. 2 years later I gave birth to my second son, Declan. Again, I had a good pregnancy, very good pregnancy. I gained a bit more weight in his pregnancy than I had in Carlin's. But I did get the beginnings of carpal tunnel syndrome in my right hand. I had quite a lot of symptoms throughout the pregnancy of carpal tunnel syndrome, which is like a tingling numbness in the hand, and like at that point it wasn't as severe as it did get in later life, but I knew about carpal tunnel because my mum had the carpal tunnel surgery done, and I think my grandfather had it done as well, I believe. Anyway, so I knew all about carpal tunnel, and pretty much when I told my mum the symptoms I was having, she was like, yeah, that's carpal tunnel syndrome. But we pretty much I didn't do anything about it, really. The labour was too quick, though. I had a very rapid labour with Declan. I woke up at, like, midnight. I woke up in an absolute raging, like a constant contraction. There was no actual contractions, it was just constant. I thought something was seriously wrong, actually. I was really panicked, and I got to the hospital at 1 o'clock and 6 minutes past 1 and he was born. It was a very rapid birth. Sorry, I've got to read through my notes because my brain doesn't take in everything. So yeah, he was born within minutes of arriving at the hospital. Dec and I both went into like a shock state for a little while. Like, my blood pressure wasn't readable or anything like that, but other than that, all was well. Again, no pain relief, and we went home by 11 o'clock in the morning to continue as normal. Not long after, I had a smear return with borderline changes of my cervix, and I was having some issues like bleeding between periods. At 20, they cauterised, they basically like burn off or freeze off areas of your cervix. They said that it was probably like Dec had come out so fast that he had probably caused some damage around the cervix area as he came. My back was a constant issue. Bending and lifting as a mother was taking its toll. On occasion, I just wouldn't be able to move at all. I was lucky that at the time my partner Luke was great and he would look after me and the kids while I was like that. There was just days, sometimes there was like a period of weeks where I just could not move my back at all. But the majority of the time I'd keep going. I was happy as a mum, and I'd done everything possible for my family. When the boys were both at school, I began working as a volunteer gardener, helping disabled and elderly people in their garden, and working alongside mental health patients in a supporting role and raising awareness and access to the community for them. Ironically, I probably should have been diagnosed with depression and anxiety then, but I wasn't. It never occurred to me, I guess. Gardening was probably not the ideal job for someone with scoliosis, but it was a passion for me. I love to create. I did it as a volunteer and was studying for my MVQ2, level 2 in amenity horticulture, and I got that there. I didn't have to pay for the study because they'd done it at the work placement. It was sort of like you work and then you get the study. Sadly, the biggest loss of my life was set to happen. My darling Nanny Grace, who I've spoken about before, who raised me, she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer, which had spread through her entire body by the time it was discovered. She was such a trooper, that woman. She had rheumatoid arthritis and Hashimoto's as well. We had a lot in common. Since I've become disabled, I remind myself of my nan every day. She was a real trooper, and she just didn't go and get help. She didn't tell people that she weren't feeling good until it was too late, unfortunately. And she was 80, I think nearly 80, so yeah, I think she was happy to go and be at one with my granddad again. I thought I coped with this well at the time, but I didn't. I started getting incredibly intense, eye-popping headaches. I had me crying in pain almost daily. Every day I was in agony. My head was just, and it was so sharp and in here, like, the internet had taken off, and when I wasn't grafting as a gardener or studying my MVQ, I was running chat rooms and internet relay chat servers. I was operator on those. Big shout out to all my guys out there that I've spoken to for like the last 15 to 20 years. And I was writing a wrestling magazine with my partner Luke. The headaches became crippling and a part of every day. I saw the doctor, who referred me to a specialist, and he looked into my eyes and told me he could see several small dots behind my eye, and he believed they were blood clots. And bam, right there and then my life changed instantly. He advised me on so many life changes, and I came away in shock. I was scheduled for MRI and lumbar puncture. My relationship of 9.5 years rapidly fell apart. I suddenly felt different about everything, and I wanted out. I wanted a better life than the one I had. Looking back now, I realise I was broken, and I made decisions while panicked that I was going to die. By the end of January, the MRI and lumbar puncture, and gosh, I don't understand why anyone would want an epidural, because you have to go through having that needle in your spine. Well, like, I think giving birth was probably easier without it. But yeah, the lumbar puncture was quite an experience. By the end of the January, I'd had my MRI and lumbar puncture, and it totally destroyed my family. A few days after I left my home and partner, the doctors gave me the all clear. The headaches were put down to stress and grief for my nan. I entered immediately into another relationship. And I will continue on, because this was when I was 25. So I will continue on with the next part of my story soon. Much love. Breathe easy, folks.